Hey, we give you the facts. It's not what you think. Popeye Newsling, Young King, 1 yard, bless.
Good morning, Popeyes. Grandma watch Popeyes every morning and every night.
The first verse of the national anthem, it goes like this. Sing with me. Yeah, man, stand up. Anywhere you are right now, get up and stand up. Stand at attention. You can stand at ease. Eternal Father, bless our land. Guard us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Be our light through countless hours. To our leaders, great defender, grant true wisdom from above. Justice, truth be ours forever. Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, 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 land we love. So, here's some somehow, you know, when I was singing the chorus. Boom.
Papa, you are the general, down in a Jamaica, you are the marshal. Oh gosh, Papa, you are the general, down in a Jamaica, you are the marshal. Oh gosh, me send drive from Westmoreland, reach a Hanover. Him know every crevice, every corner. One get rid of every hoodlums in Jamaica. That's every foreigner, then can come back and you are the general. In a Jamaica, you are the marshal. Oh gosh, Papa, you're the general. In a Jamaica, you are the marshal. Oh well. Me want to see Popeye, fi shake off him hand. Him no afraid of hoodlums, he no afraid of no man. Cause him a the general, down a Jamaica, Popeye the marshal. Oh well. Papa, they love in England, I see boy. I mean, I tell us a piece smart TV they watch upon. Yeah man, big up your good self, man. Yeah man.
Blessings, 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 blessings. How no do? Evening, everybody. Evening, evening. How are you doing? Good day. Well, guess what? No, we're not carrying the news today. We're going to come with the news early tomorrow morning. So that's the first thing. We decide to just ease off of the news a little bit for today. But here we are. And we are now over 200,000 subscribers. We are now over 200,000 subscribers. Thank you, no. Thank you, no, for telling a friend to tell a friend. Now, today, we have a special guest. We have Mrs. Esther McKitty Griffin. We have Mrs. Esther McKitty. We have been promising for a few weeks now. And Esther is here in live and in living colors. Esther, how you do?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
You're doing good.
Yeah, man. Bless up yourself. How
When
things? Yeah?
Good, you know, when I was listening to you just now, you said the intro part where you were singing the anthem, and it said
Yeah.
some of you are out there saying boom. I was one. I was definitely one of them.
Yeah. Jamaica. Boom.
Boom.
So
Never gets
Esther,
old.
here we are. We have been promising for a while and we want to make this ongoing, right?
Yes,
Yeah, man. So
definitely
here
so.
we are this evening. And I know a few people might have known about you before, but just for those who don't know, I know you're a preacher's daughter. Just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Can I skip that team, man? Jesus.
No, me not left it. Yes.
I'm born in St. Elizabeth, grew up in Westmoreland, went to Mannings, went to UWI. I currently live in the United States. I live in Maryland. My husband and I practice together in Maryland.
Yes.
That's the Cliff Notes version of who I am.
Yes.
I do immigration law. We also do a little bit of family law, but I do immigration law. I love what I do. I love the people. I love helping immigrants because, you know, I'm an immigrant too. And this process that many of them walk through, I've done it. I did it myself. So I'm able to, you know, connect with people and can really understand where they're at in the process sometimes.
Yes. And you have been practicing for more than 10 years now?
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Yes.
yes.
All right. So we are gonna do this topic by topic. And some person might have some questions, but what are we gonna be discussing today?
Today, okay, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about special immigrant juvenile status.
Yes. All
Okay,
right.
so I
Yeah,
have
man,
my
go ahead.
notes in front of me. So if you see me looking down, I just kind of had some notes just to make sure I didn't stray off topic or I didn't miss or say something, miss something important that perhaps should be mentioned.
Yes.
So if you see me looking down, that's what's happening. I'm just looking at my notes.
Okay.
Right. All right. Special immigrant juvenile status. So as the name suggests, the word juvenile is in it. So it has to do with children. Special immigrant, it's for children under 21 years old. For some states, it may be 18, but it's for children under 21 years old who may have been abandoned, neglected, or abused by either one parent or both parents. So
Yes.
somebody has to take custody of that child. So if the father has abandoned the child, then, the mother can do custody perhaps. Or if
Yes.
both parents have abandoned the child, then maybe an aunt or a cousin or a neighbor, a friend, that person can take custody of the child also.
Yeah.
What would happen is that after we get the custody order, after the judge signs off on that custody order, then they issue a special order that allows U.S. immigration to then begin the green card processing for the child. So it's really a two-part process. We have to
Yes.
get a custody order first in family court. And then we take that special custody order and we take it over to U.S. immigration and we apply for a green card for the child.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
You have any questions for it, right?
No, go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So one of the things people may ask, if the person needs to have status or does the child need to have legal status? No. The child,
Yes.
well, clearly, the person who wants to get custody of the child does not need to have legal status to do this for the child.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So the parent themselves, are undocumented, but they really want the child to get ahead. Because, sometimes the children are here. They may have come up one way or the other. Sometimes, they came up here to spend holiday with somebody and them just never go back home.
Yes.
And so they're here and, they're going to school because, of course, in the U.S., they're allowed to go to school right up until high school. The issues really come for them when they've graduated high school, they want to go to college or community college. Suddenly now they're being asked for a social security number and documents, and things stop for them at that point.
Yes.
So it really comes in handy for when these children, get to that place when, they've graduated high school and they want to go on to further studies. And just generally speaking, I mean, nobody would want a child to continuously be here and not have status if there's a way to, get out of that.
Yes.
One thing you want to show is that the child is having a better life here in the United States than they were having in their home country, Jamaica or whatever other country may be.
So you would need what to prove that? You just
usually when we go before the judge and we're doing the custody hearings, we ask specific questions as to what the house is like, what's in the house, is the child sharing a bedroom, things like that, and we kind of paint the picture to the judge to say, hey, this person has agreed to take custody of the child and they are able to financially provide for the child, and the child has their own bedroom, and this house has running water. And that may sound funny, say running water, really it's 2023, but yes, those things are important. It has to be put on the record that all those necessities are there for the child.
Okay.
What else should I say? So the judge also, another thing I mentioned before is that they qualify if there's been some amount of abuse or neglect, abandonment by the parents. So the judge needs to see that. One of the ways we show that quite often is if the parent who is in the home country or both parents who are in the home country, if they're not financially providing for the child. So if they're not financially provided for the child, that's one way that we can say to the judge, this child the parents are, in the home country, or the father's in the home country, or the mother's in the home country, whoever it is, and they have not been financially taking care of the child. That's one good way to show abandonment. Sometimes we may have to show some form of abuse, because maybe there was abuse, physical abuse, that, the parents had, spanked the child or whatever. If it's necessary, we don't necessarily jump to that. There are usually other things we can use. I mean, for example, I have children sometimes who come from, say, like El Salvador or Guatemala or one of those countries. Those children sometimes travel by themselves for days. So we're able to use the fact that that child traveled alone, and the parents didn't seem to care that this child was left to their own devices to travel or whatever it is. So there are different ways to kind of show that abandonment or neglect of the child.
Somebody was asking, just to reiterate, this only applies for children already in the United States, right?
Yes, children already in the United States. Yes, it doesn't apply for children who are out of the US. So you have to be inside the United States, and it doesn't matter if the child came here on a visa or not, which is why I'm able to also do this process for, people who come over the border. So if a child came here over the border and they didn't have a visa that got stamped at a port of entry, they still qualify for this.
And child in the USA is anyone under the age of?
Well, some states, they only allow special immigrant up to age 18, and some states allow it up to age 21. So for example, Virginia is 18, Florida is 18, Maryland, New York, New Jersey, 21, and it varies. There's a map. I actually didn't print the map right now, but but generally it's either 18 or 21. So I'll be honest, sometimes there'll be a child that's 18 that lives in Florida.
Yes.
And if it is that is the option for the child, we may say to the child,
yes,
you have auntie in New York. I mean,
yes.
It's a way out. It's a way for them, and it's in the law for them. It's not like something that's hidden, or we made this up and hide it under the bush and try to get some type of status. It's in the law, special immigrant juvenile status.
Yes. Okay.
A lot of people I know are concerned, for example, that if they do that it will mess up their own process, and it won't. That won't happen.
Okay.
Yeah, we've done a lot of these cases, and I've never seen it like backfire on the parent, like, oh, you neglected your child, when the child did special immigrant, and now here you come looking for papers. Well, you can't get no papers. No, it's not like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they don't have to worry about that. Some people, there is a lot of fear, and I understand, even, when the parent may be here and they don't have status, and they feel like by coming out of the shadows and going into family court to go before a judge, it's almost like, oh, the end of the world. I'm gonna, they're gonna come and deport me right now. No, that's not the case. Yeah.
Okay. Got you.
Well, one thing I should point out, I should make known, is that when the child does get status through special immigrant, they cannot turn around and file for the parents.
Oh, they can't. Okay.
They cannot. And if not, everybody just send them pitney and say, I'll take care of them. Go up there and get that in file for me.
Yes.
Oh, that's, so they can't.
You said parents, but what if that child should get married? Can they petition for the wife or the husband?
The person, yes.
Oh,
yes.
It's not a parent.
It's just a parent, right?
Okay.
It's just a parent. So that person, because remember, it's a two-part process. So first, we do that custody in family court, and then we go on to USCIS, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and we do the green card application. When they get that green card, they're going to get that 10-year green card.
Oh.
So 5 years after they have been a permanent resident, then they would have become eligible for citizenship.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So at that point, they become eligible for citizenship. If they decided, they have married another immigrant, and that spouse, they are going to file a petition for that spouse. Yes, they are able to do that.
Okay.
Yes, they're able to do that. So they can.
How about sibling? Sorry. How about sibling?
Yes.
Would that person?
You took it just I looked at my paper and so I was like, oh yeah, let me remember to tell them brothers and yes.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Let me see what else. Anything else come to you? I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything else. Oh, one important thing I should mention. So in the years prior, up until March of this year, people who were in, okay, so special immigrant, when you apply for the green card, the visas, they have a numerical limitation. So we usually go by the visa bulletin. So we'd go to the visa bulletin, we'd go to that category. So the children who are coming from Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, because those children are basically able to, for want of a better phrase, walk in, you know, they kind of come here in large numbers, as opposed to the children who live in countries that they have to get on a flight and come here. So up until March of this year, the children who are from those three countries have been, they would have to wait to apply for their green card. So we would do the first part, the custody. We would go to USCIS. We would file their petitions. It's really a three-part process. We would file their petition, and then those children would have to wait like 3-4 years for their visa number to become available and then apply for the green card. So that was them. And then you had children from like Jamaica, Belize, Nigeria, Ghana, basically anywhere else in the world. We usually would have been able to take the custody order from the court and just go straight to USCIS and file a full green card adjustment of status package. However, in March of this year, the numbers basically retrogressed, where basically there were just too many applicants, more than the number of visas that have been available. And so as a result, everybody is now waiting, which means they children even from Jamaica, we would file the custody order, we can file the petition, but we now have to wait to file the green card. One good thing that happens, however, in this waiting period, USCIS now allows us to file work permit applications for these children. So while we're waiting for the green card, we are able to file work permit applications for these children, and the work permits are valid for 4 years. So they're able to keep working. They can go to school because they get the social security number. The only thing is they would not yet get a green card until the visa number becomes available. We are anticipating that perhaps in October, that more numbers will be assigned to this category. And as a result, the children from the countries before that didn't have to wait, perhaps may not have to wait again. So I'm hoping when October comes and the visa bulletin comes out, that that they'll be able to just do, we will be able to do a straight application for them, and they won't have to wait. So that the October bulletin comes out mid to the end of September. At that point, we'll kind of see what's going on. Another important thing I missed: the children they have to be, well, they're children, so they should not be married. You can't be married. You have to stay unmarried. And if you get married during the process, you could forfeit it. So I usually have to warn the ones that are, 18, 19, 20, and them started them like a boyfriend or whatever. Don't get married. I have to remind some of them, do not get married. Wait until the process is over. Then you can go marry whoever you want and all of that, have the big wedding, do everything you want to do. Until then, stay single type of thing.
You see the question on the screen? I'm sure you answered, but maybe the person was joining late. They were asking.
They can definitely. Yeah, it's a regular green card like any other green card. Once they get their green card, they're good to go. They can travel back and forth to their country, and yes, they can become a U.S. citizen when they qualify, which is usually 5 years after they have been admitted as a permanent resident.
Okay.
Let me see if I remember anything else. I'm trying to think. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think so. Let me check on my notes. I could explain also that the court process. Two things about the court process. It's not a very it's not scary. Nothing to worry about. Most judges across the country, they are inclined to grant these orders as long as the attorney presents the case and gives them all that they need based on what the law says. So, like I mentioned earlier, you have to show the abuse, the neglect, or the abandonment. You have to show the child is unmarried and show the child hasn't been, has a lot of like criminal history or something, in not a bunch of shoplifting or whatever it is. Once you're showing those factors, you are the judge is more than likely inclined to grant the order. I should say that for us, we are only able to do the custody orders in Maryland because it is family law. And so we are barred or owned in Maryland. However, what we do, we partner with other attorneys. So, for example, there are some attorneys here in Maryland who do immigration law, but they are not licensed to practice family law in Maryland. Those attorneys will send their clients to us so that we can do their custody order, and then we send them back to that lawyer to do the immigration part. So, for example, if somebody calls me now from New York, I have a friend in New York that I work along with. And whenever I have a New York client in this category, I call him up and I was like, hey, I'm sending so-and-so to you. Can you do the custody part for me? And he's like, sure. And, I send them over. He does the custody part. When he gets the order, he sends it to me. The client comes back to me and I finish out the process.
Okay. There are some persons asking some questions. I don't know.
Okay.
This one,
I'm able to.
If you're on H2B Visa or H2B program for 14 years, can you get a green card?
I mean, there are different types of visas that you could perhaps qualify for. Just being on the H2B program alone is not sufficient. I think it's a little bit heartbreaking sometimes when there are a lot of Jamaicans who are on the H2B program, but because it's a temporary program when all is said and done, you do get to come up repeatedly to work, but unless your employer decides, okay, based on, maybe based on your performance or maybe based on their need or whatever it is, then they would have to make the decision to do something that's more permanent, which may be like an H1B or something like that for you, or you may qualify some other way, like you perhaps have, an adult child here who is a citizen who now wants to file for you, or perhaps, you've met somebody here or something, So there are other ways, but not necessarily just because you have been on the H2B program. No, not just like that.
No. Okay. So somebody said they come on the program. Can my sister or brother file for me?
Yes. Your brother or sister, if they're a U.S. citizen, they can file for you. However, it is a pretty lengthy process for the petition. So just like I was talking earlier about the wait times with the visa bulletin, the category for brother and sister of U.S. citizens, I believe, don't quote me because I'm not looking at the table, I don't have it memorized, but I think the wait time is 15 years, which means they are currently processing people who applied back in 2008.
2008. Okay.
2008. So if your brother and sister file for you today, it's probably going to take another 15 years before that petition comes up for processing with the National Visa Center and all of that, and through the embassy.
Okay. Somebody's asking how long it take when you have a green card to apply for your husband.
There's so many factors. So lately, up until recently, the time based on a green card holder or a citizen filing for their spouse, the timing was pretty much the same. But I've found that lately, green card holders, permanent residents, it's taken longer again, which is why we always encourage persons, if your spouse or whoever it is, if they're eligible for citizenship, it's always a better option to get a U.S. citizenship first, and then, file for whoever it is, because it's always a short-term process. And then U.S. citizens can file for more family members and green card holders. For example, if you're a citizen, you can file for your parents. Green card holders can file for their parents. If you are a citizen, you can file for your children who are married. Green card holders cannot file for their children who are already married. So there, just some little extra things to note where that is concerned.
Wendy, that's what Esther was discussing before. If the parent is undocumented, how does the child?
How does a child get the green card? Well,
Yeah.
if she's referring to a child who is here in the United States
Yes.
with an undocumented parent, like I had said earlier, just to give you a quick recap, basically, we would first go to family court and get special immigrant juvenile designation in family court to say this child has been abandoned, neglected, or maybe abused by the other parent. And here is this parent who is asking for custody. And once we've gotten that custody, then we're able to file that with USCIS. And eventually, basically, at the end of the process, the child does have a green card.
Mr. Troop, I wonder if your son is a citizen or just a resident. He's asking if his son is in the army, can he file for him?
There are some processes.
Okay.
If your children are in the army, that they can file for their parents. They do have some. There are different programs. They can straight out file for their parents through the regular. If you're a citizen and you file for your parent doing the I-130. U.S. citizen filing for a parent. Yes, that's one way. Or sometimes they can apply for what is called parole. They can file for parole for the parent where perhaps the parent came in here and the parent was undocumented. So you find sometimes that you see some children will join the military because of those benefits, that they get for family members immigration-wise.
Yes. This is a long one. My question is the kids and the adults that cross the border. Does USCIS send back to their countries and run background checks on them before they get any status?
That's debatable in some ways.
Yes.
They do checks. They do make their checks.
Yes.
You are required to do your fingerprinting and background checks here. And then they do their cross checks quite often. I have more than once, I have seen them pull things up that I never imagined that they would know about, I had a client who had traveled once and gotten a green card and then traveled. And when they got out the country, they were denied to board to come back because there had been something on an old record of hers. So I've seen it. It's not something I could say it's, always set in stone. They do this, and they do this, and they do this. But I have seen, yes, where they do their cross checks. What I can say to people, don't lie to immigration. That's what I can say. Don't lie. So don't try to cover up something. It's always better to say this is what happened and there's perhaps a waiver or something available for you. Because if you get caught in the lie, then you have to deal with now fraud and misrepresentation issues. And then it just makes your case 100 times harder and perhaps may end up having you just get denied totally. So it's never a good idea to lie. That's just the bottom line.
Yes. This person is saying, I've been married for 12 years, and my husband and my son is an American, but my son's father got me in things so long ago, more than 20 years, and the embassy, so I can never try. Oh, that's just a comment. Maybe the person is asking if they can try again.
Well, put it this way. Okay. If it's a visitor's visa, they're very strict. I can tell you, Kingston is like a block of nails when it comes to stuff like that. If you have things in your history. Now, sometimes there is a waiver that you can sometimes apply for that allows them to look as to what the issue was that had made you, get on their blacklist in the first place. It's called a Haranka waiver. Okay. And so that's an option. But you really have to document it. You have to really document it to present it. You, the person who's applying, you actually present the waiver. So we would prepare it and you would take it to the embassy with you. Of course, the downside is, you know what it is when you go to the window. If they don't feel like taking the papers from you, they don't take it. So it ends up being a gamble almost. But some people are willing to take the gamble that maybe they will take the papers from them and consider that waiver for a visitor's visa. However, if somebody is filing for you and the person ends up also being a qualifying relative, then as we know, then they can perhaps do a waiver for them, a waiver of misrepresentation. In that person's case that just asked the question, their son was a U.S. citizen. Children, which in terms of the person who is the beneficiary, if the person who is filing for you is your child, that person cannot be your qualifying relative for a waiver. So in this case, if there isn't another way maybe to try the Haranka waiver or something to overcome whatever the issue was, it will be very difficult to overcome it even at the immigrant visa level if the son filed for her, because the son is not a qualifying relative. What I mean by qualifying relative, the person has to be either a spouse or a parent. So if by chance, you are an adult in your 30s and you had some issues when you were younger, but your mother is now a U.S. citizen and your mother has filed for you, then you stand a better chance of applying for that waiver because you have a parent who is a qualifying relative who can file a waiver for you. So that person would be in a better position than the one who asked the question.
Okay. Can a person with 10-year green card file for their kids over 21 years old?
Yes, they can. There is a wait. Still refer to that visa bulletin. It is perhaps 8 years or so. But if they're filing for those children over 21 years, they cannot be married. And if it is, they file for the child. So they, they have a son. They file for the son, and he is 23 years old. And the petition is processing. And when he turns 26, he meet this pretty girl and he decide to marry her, it kills it. So that's another situation where you have to let them know you cannot get married. If your parent is just a green card holder and they have filed for you, you have to stay single until that part is completed.
Okay. Just looking through just looking.
Okay. I had something else came to me, and I should have written it down when it came to me. Let me just see if I look at what I have here, if it will jog my memory. I don't think I don't remember it.
Somebody's saying a friend of mine did not receive her mail from immigration on time for additional information to support removal of conditions. The time has elapsed for them to file for a motion. What do you recommend?
Well, if they missed the RFE and the case was denied, if it is that it's less than 30 days since that case got denied, they could perhaps file, in some cases, it depends on the form. In this case, I believe it does, the I-751 does qualify, where you would file a I-290B, which is an motion to reconsider or reopen the case. So you'd pay the fee of the $675, and you basically say to them, I missed the RFE, asking for this evidence. Here's the evidence. Will you just consider it right now? Quite often they do that. Quite often they're generous enough to just reopen the case, look at the evidence, and make the decision on the case. If it is the 30 days have already passed, then at that point, it's just better to just refile.
So it's best to refile if it's
if the time has passed already, maybe just better to just refile. 30 days has passed. There's no, reviving of that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, which is why RFEs are pretty it's pretty important to pay attention to them and pay attention to their deadline dates. Yes. During COVID was fun times because they gave us an additional 60 days beyond the expiration date to respond to them. But they're basically like, they stopped that now. Whatever the deadline is, that's what it is. And, they will deny. If it doesn't come in, they're going to deny the case.
After staying 3 months in the USA, how long can you wait to try to go back to the US?
My dear, I would say wait a while, a good while. I don't want to put a numerical figure to it. What I do want to warn my Jamaican people is that U.S. immigration is very alert when it comes to Jamaicans who come here, stay longer than the average, 3-4 weeks of a vacation. leave and go home, and then soon after they have gone back, they're coming back up again. I can't tell you the number of phone calls I have gotten about so and so was coming up, and when they was coming back up, them stop them and pull them in our room and check them phone and and then them turn them back and send them home. Jamaicans, we fall for that a lot. And you know what ends up happening, something like that stays on your record. So do you remember the person who asked me the question earlier and said she had gotten into some stuff, but her son's a citizen now? Something as simple as coming to the United States, staying for 3 months, going home to Jamaica, coming back up maybe after like, you know, a month or something, you get stopped and they cancel the visa and turn you back. That alone will make you perhaps not be able to come back here again. So you have to be very mindful. They're looking at you to say, why do you have so much time to come to the US?
Yes.
They're saying, if you're coming for a vacation, then you do your vacation and you're supposed to go back home to your job. So they get highly suspicious of you, which is why quite often when they pull you into that room is called secondary inspection. When they put you into secondary inspection, they check your phone. Like it has happened to me before. So I can tell people I can relate to quite a bit of things. And in my case, this was years ago. It was like 20 years ago. And I had just stopped working. I was in Salve. Some people knew me. I used to have a phone card place in Salve. So I'd given that up, took a break, came to the US. And I was here for like 5 months or something. And then I left, went back to Jamaica, and I started working again. And it was about, I don't know, 6-7 months or so, could be a little bit more. After that lengthy stay, I came up to the US, and I tell you, they pulled me into that room and then start questioning out my daylight. And where you work? Then at the time I was working at Sandals, and it's like they seem to like they knew my whole life. I remember them saying, "Which Sandals is it? Sandals the Grill or Sandals what?" And I'm like, "How the hell is this?" Excuse me. Thankfully, I mean, I missed my connecting flights and everything, but thankfully they allowed me to enter. And on top of that, every single time I traveled after that incident, they would always ask me, why is it that you were in the United States for 5 months? Every single time. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. I was like, something to drink. Oh my goodness. But yeah.
So they keep on asking you why you were there for 5 months?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, for every single time. They never stopped asking me. And I
something. So I saw something that I didn't knew exists, Esther, because sometimes some persons come to America and their passport is not stamped, but then you have it's still recorded on your is it I-94? Yes.
I-94.
So every time you go to the US and when you leave, it's recorded on their system.
Yes. So they have it. And you even have I remember back in the days when people used to box stamp. I still have people coming to me who are now being held back because of that issue. Because basically they had overstayed. They didn't want it to seem like they had overstayed. But what they didn't realize was that when they exited, the US made their own record. So now when they come with the passport stamped a certain way, they're like, but no, you did not leave that date. Our record says this. And that's fraud. And that in itself holds back some people now. If I'm looking away, I was just looking here to see if I had a cough drop or something, but I don't. So I have to rough it out.
All right, so and another thing is, somebody might enter the United States and they are stamped for 6 months, and they are taking that for granted that they can stay up to 5.5 months.
Right, that's what I did.
Yes. And
I mean, put this way, you can, but you need to have a good reason why.
Yes.
There needs to be a reason why you're staying that long, and it should not be that you're working, that you help take care of your auntie baby, you work in this restaurant and what. It can't be that reason.
Yes.
Because they are going to catch up on you, and it is going to be an issue,
Yeah.
Excuse me. Oh my goodness. If I came
H2B, overstayed, then got married and filed paperwork, can you get approved? Then do biometric.
It varies. If the husband is a husband or wife, whoever it is, a U.S. citizen. I've seen these cases take anywhere from 5-6 months to 4 years. I mean, it just varies. So that person
has been there.
Where
Oh,
one
okay.
second, let me just finish off with the other person.
Oh,
It
yeah, go ahead.
varies. So once you've
Yes.
done, you've done your biometrics and all of that stuff, and you have you probably get your work permit after a while, then they'll put you in the queue for the interview. Now, if you are going in for an interview, it's going to be based locally where you live. So if
Yes.
you live in New York, you're probably going to do your interview downtown New York. If you live in Maryland here, you do it in Baltimore. If you live in Virginia, you do it. I forgot where the office is, but each state has their office, and each office processes their interview times differently. Some states faster than some. Some states where no immigrant no live, you might and you live up there and you apply, you might get through way faster than somewhere where there are lots of immigrants. Also, I should just quickly say there have been they've been waiving the interviews a lot lately. So if they look at the case, which are the marriage cases, and it looks pretty clean and good to them, they may be inclined to approve it without doing an interview, which, everybody loves. I'm not mad. I'm happy to do.
Yes, yes. Someone is asking if you're located. Yes, she's
I am
the office.
located in Maryland. My office is in Glen Burnie, Maryland, which is about 20 minutes south of Baltimore. If you're coming from Silver Spring, you're probably more hitting me up in like 45 minutes. But yes, I am in Maryland.
Yeah, this person has been asking this for a while. Can I travel abroad?
Is it the 4-year extension because you are trying to remove the conditions from your green card? Yes, you can. If that's what you're referring to, yes, you can travel. Be reminded that you have to travel with the expired green card and your original receipt notice. So not a photocopy, but the green looking one, the thick paper one. Make sure you have that with your green card and your passport if you travel. Can't tell you how many times people travel with the photocopy. They get to the airport to come back, and the airline, they are not going to board you. It's just not going to happen. So, yes.
I'm in the US, got married, my 2 minor kids in Jamaica. What would it cost to put in the document for us?
Okay, you should probably call us so we could talk a little bit more in terms of And I know sometimes some people have been calling me, probably say, me a call her and she not answer. I'm a text her and she not answer. I'm send WhatsApp and she not answer. I take some responsibility for some of that. I really appreciate the people who have been reaching out. The WhatsApp is on my personal phone, and sometimes just based on my work schedule, I haven't been able to respond. But I do want you guys to know that I've been working on making sure that I also have staff in place who understand you, because that's the other thing. I have people who work for me, but they don't always understand patois. But I do have a couple new people with me that I'm training now that do understand it. And so when you guys call, I am working on making sure that your questions can get answered and your appointments can get booked and that there won't be any lag in the communication.
Yes. Somebody's saying
when you do a change of address. Yeah, that happens a lot, my dear. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. And even for us as attorneys, like I moved offices over 2 years ago. And I have sent to immigration to let them know I am no longer at the old office, and they still send things to the old location. And I have to be driving up to that old post office trying to catch stuff. Stuff gets sent back sometimes. So it can be a nightmare with them. It would seem that the process to change your address and to keep it updated should be smooth, but sometimes it's just not. So it does mess up your case when that happens. But, a quick phone call sometimes may be able to remedy that. Just quickly call in to say, this is the case, this is what has happened, and I need things to go to the correct address because people move and you may not know who lives at the address that you just left.
Yes.
So you want to be mindful of that.
Yannick, you're asking if you travel on a visa and stay for 4 months, so on a visitor's visa, how long do I wait to travel again?
So that was similar to the person. Did somebody
the person call, yeah. You can wait a good while, Yannick.
Yeah, wait a good while. I'm telling you, because I feel like they have just earmarked Jamaicans for this. I promise you. So many phone calls I get. Oh, so and so they get turned back on this. You don't want that to happen to you, because the bottom line is, they suspect you all of working without authorization. Because, think about it. They're not that stupid. They know what's up. They know that, you have a friend up here who tell us, say, come my girl, me work at one place. Say if you come, you can get $100 a day. Take your visa and come. And so you come and you do that for, 3-4 months and get a good money and go back down and stuff. And then after you done it for a little while, you come up back again. They know that quite often that's what is happening. And they don't want that, because a visitor's visa is just for that, just for visiting. It's not for working and, working on the table, working without authorization, because you do not have a work permit. So they try to clamp down on that. So when they see stays that are extended, then the visit back to the home country is very brief, and you're coming back up again. You come back up for the work, and they're gonna, stop that. I am not a travel agency.
It's a law. Esther is an attorney at law. All right, she's an attorney.
I'm not a travel.
And there's the phone number for those who are asking.
Right.
443-312-9826. You can send a
and
WhatsApp.
Right. And perhaps in other another time too, we can go in detail even about some of the other visas and stuff, kind of like how we featured special immigrant tonight.
Yes.
I know there's some other ones that I can definitely, because there's some visas that I think Jamaicans would be interested
qualified
in, because more likely they qualify for it.
Yes.
So, for example, even like our visas, which is a religious visa. So that's for like pastors and ordained ministers, And so you've worked at a church, and perhaps you have a relationship with a church here who is able to hire you and put you on their staff and stuff. Then that's something you could probably look into to see if they are able to do an R visa for you and for your family type of thing. So that's one thing we can discuss in another time. You have like H2B Visa, which is like an investor visa, and you basically use it to, it's almost like you're filing for yourself.
Yes.
You're the business, you have the business plan. And if you show, the US embassy that you have the money and the education, the experience to start this business, and this business will do well in the US, they will be inclined to grant you that H2B visa. If you do well for a while, if you do well for 5 years and up, then perhaps then you can go for, your own green card. So, that type of stuff. So I could get into that. I don't want to get too deep into it.
Yes.
Type of thing.
And somebody was asking me, what if the person is well bright? Well bright. Yes.
Yes, if they're well bright and them can prove to me that I'm well bright.
Yes.
Perhaps they could do what is called the EB2 NIW, which is the employment-based level of the national interest waiver. And that's another one, nobody has to file for you type of thing. And, the US is always looking for people in STEM, maths, science, research, that type of stuff. So that's the kind of thing you want to, you could perhaps qualify for. And that we've done for brilliant people. In fact, I recently got an approval. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I got an approval for a guy, he's from Ghana. Very brilliant young man. And he got approved. So that's something too we can perhaps talk in detail, because Jamaicans are brilliant. I find that when we come to the US, and I think that a lot of people are surprised that Jamaicans we have knowledge, we know stuff, we're not done.
They're surprised we're so bright. I
don't even want to digress too much. Let me tell you, when I was working in Arizona. And I applied for law school, and I was telling my job there, because I worked at a hotel there. I was assistant housekeeping manager. I love housekeeping, by the way. So any housekeepers in the house? Yes, I love housekeeping to my heart and soul. I love housekeeping. It'll always be a part of me. And so I was assistant housekeeping manager. And when I told them in the meeting that I was going to resign from my job because I was going to law school, they said to me, "Oh, we know you're bright, but not that bright." You can imagine? You see what I'm facing? Jamaicans, we go to school. We don't waste time. We go to school and we study a book. So yes, we definitely talk about EB2 NIW one, at some point.
And we'll be back shortly, Esther, but there's a final question. If you enter the United States illegally, what's the way forward?
That's such an open-ended question. I could talk for the next 2 hours. I mean, somebody, you'd have to give me more details. So somebody like that may have to just call in and see if they can schedule some time with me, maybe to see what's going on in their life, to see perhaps what they could qualify for.
Yes, yes. And we'll be back shortly, and you have some interesting topics coming up that we can,
Right.
we're gonna talk. Yeah.
Okay.
It was really nice having you, Esther, and thank you a lot. Thanks a lot. I'm sure this was beneficial to a lot of people. A lot of
I
people
hope
learn some.
so. I really
Yeah,
hope
man.
so.
But let's clarify. If somebody want to consult with you, there's a consultation fee because that's your job,
Yes, I'm at work, me have feet.
and you have people you have to pay.
Me have people me have to pay, me have light bill and
Yes,
internet and
yes,
all for
yes,
things, so they have to pay me.
yes. So
And
suppose
I don't
mm,
mind being if it's a quick question and people can attest. So people who have
yes,
listened to your show and call, they can attest. If it's something that I can quickly answer, I try to. But
yes.
sometimes you have to just consider my schedule. I'd love to, but sometimes I just can't. Anyways, cut to the chase. My consultation fee is $100, but if they call the office and let me know that they heard about me through Popeyes, I give them a $25 discount, so it's $75.
Okay.
So,
So
so
tell a
once they let
friend
me
to tell
know
a
it's from
friend.
Popeyes, then pardon me.
Yeah. I'm saying they should tell a friend to tell a friend that if they call it
Basically,
and say Popeye send them, they get a
yes,
$25
them
discount.
get 25. Yes, so that's what
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, I'm happy to talk some more to you another time and talk about, because there's so many avenues to immigration. At the end of the
Yes,
day,
man.
I
Yes.
want people to
And
have the
I'm sure there's
information.
a lot of ways that people didn't know that
Yes,
yeah,
even
yes.
people them who get trafficked, that's a big one. We have to set up some
Yes.
time to talk about the trafficking.
And
People who come up here to
traffic is
work
and
and people
trafficking is
treat
very
them bad
wide.
and
Yeah,
pay them good and all these things. Yeah.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Esther, thanks a lot and we'll talk
You're
again.
welcome. All
All
right.
right.
Take care.
Take care of yourself.
All
All
right.
right.
Bye-bye. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
So that was Esther McKitty Griffin. And we are gonna make this an ongoing thing, not a one-off thing. So keep on listening. There is a lot. We couldn't answer all the questions in one video. And Esther have a lot more topics that she's gonna come back and discuss with us because there's so many ways for you, so many ways that and remember, these advice that you are getting are free advice, free. A lot of people can attest that if you call a U.S. immigration lawyer and ask certain questions, you have to pay. You understand? So, thank for that. The number, let me put the number on the screen. Where is it? The number is 443. Hold on. 443 312 9826. Yeah, 9826. So there's the number. So let, so let me put the number on the screen now. No, that's not it. Okay. So there's the number 443 312 9826. And she also has an email address. It's Esther, ESTHER at LAWGRIF.com. Esther at lawgriff.com. All right. And we are going to make this ongoing. Esther will be back shortly. And easy if you get a lawyer, if you come sit down and talk for almost an hour, because I know Esther desk full. So we have to just bigger up and thank her for it. And she has committed to come back and have more discussions with us. There's something, if you're in the United States, you're being abused, somebody filed for you. You're married, your husband or your wife filed for you. They might have left you. And a lot of people think it's the end of the road. There's something named VAWA that she plan on discussing. There's a lot of things that she plan on discussing. So stick around and stay tuned and blessed love. So tomorrow morning or early tomorrow, we are going to be putting out the news. We didn't finish up for today. So tomorrow, we are going to be sending out the news. All right? Blessed love, everybody.